I was one of the directors on a video that we started writing in January this year, Can't Hold Us for Macklemore. And it was interesting because that song had been out for about a year and a half before their album came out, before they blew up and got any notoriety. And we always wanted to do a video for it. And we were like, how are we going to pull this off? It's too big. The song is too big. It's such an epic anthem. We just don't have the capacity to do it. And then they blew up and all of a sudden had a little bit of money behind it. And so we had the opportunity to come up with something grandiose.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was just, let's come up with a grandiose concept. So we literally sat in a room for about 3 nights in a row. Well, first they had a meeting in Hawaii. I wasn't there. The initial concept where Ben came up with, I want there to be a flag with the heist on it. And it is the seam that weaves the whole story together. And then they came home and we sat in Ben's apartment, and my wife, who's a producer, and Trisha, who his fiance, who's a producer, Hannah Kimmerer, myself, and Ryan sat in the room and just started throwing out ideas of what would be epic. And it was pretty funny because we're like, a pirate ship, dog sleds, like a wolf, an old crazy caveman. For a minute we were like, let's put Sean Kemp in an ice cave because that would be funny. And we're like, that is a terrible idea. And we ended up finding Dakadu, who's the most absurdly awesome old Rastafarian man with white dreadlocks, and took him up into the snow. But we basically came up with all these ideas and decided to do them all. We were like, let's write this thing so that all these ideas come together and it's this big epic adventure. And it was kind of like, let's make a trailer for a movie that's 7 minutes long that you're like, I want to see that movie. Yeah. And so we did. So we shot these mini scenes in this mini story that you could turn into a film, was the idea. And to give it that look. And it was funny because we actually spent pretty much right on, well, let me back that up. Ben got interviewed by Billboard magazine and Rolling Stone and MTV, and in one of them they asked him where it was shot, and he said on 6 continents, which might be an exaggeration. And then this speculation of how much it cost was $1 million, and we were spot on $100,000 to make that video.
Nice.
And everyone was like, how did you pull that off? And a huge part of it was access to gear and doing a lot of the grunt work ourselves and putting in, I mean, Ryan and I edited the whole thing. I colored it. It was like we did everything. And I think that's the new style of filmmaking. The new generation of filmmakers are people that can do it all rather than having very specialized individualistic things, which I'm starting to value the more that I kind of stumble into this career of directing. I'm starting to value all the individuals that can do specialty skills, but I think it's smart to have the capacity to do it all. And I think I heard it was George Lucas or Steven Spielberg, one of them said, I can do, or my goal is to be able to do the job of every person on set, at least to 85% of what they can do. And I think that's just a smart place to be from a directing standpoint, that if you have to, you can step in, and that you're aware enough of light and of the tools that you're using to know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be a lean, mean filmmaking machine in order to do it, especially with the landscape of distribution where you have so many screens and so many niches. Like, how do you do one thing that fits into one niche and be able to afford to do something well? You have to be a lean, mean filmmaking machine.
Well, and that's what happened. It's like Ryan and I, like, we became friends over the fact he was 15 years old. Ryan Lewis, he was 15 years old and was into photography. And I was 20 and had a photography company, and his sister and my wife were roommates in college.
I heard he was a camera operator before. Was he a photographer or a
He was a
camera
photographer.
operator? Oh,
he was a
okay.
photographer, and he was a really good photographer. And I kind of, that was our friendship, was built around just kind of motivating each other and challenging each other and helping each other grow in a photographic sense. And I'm the same. My background is in photography. I've had a photography company for 10 years, and that's really what I learned, and then applied it to filmmaking and video, which was actually a pretty surprisingly seamless transition.